300 people are driving to the same abandoned bunker right now. They all think they're the only one who knows about it. They're all wrong. And in 72 hours, that location is gonna look like a Black Friday sale at a sporting goods store, except everyone's armed and nobody's going home. You're one of them. You've got coordinates saved in your phone, a route planned, a key to a gate that 12 other people also have keys to. You call it your bugout location, your plan B, your ace in the hole. I call it something else. I call it a statistical certainty of failure. Here's what's actually going to happen. You're gonna arrive at your secret fortress and find it's not secret. The water source you counted on, contaminated in 48 hours. The game you planned to hunt, gone in a week. The supplies you stashed, contested by 50 other claimants who have the exact same emotional attachment to this location that you do. But the real problem isn't the crowd. The real problem is that you think this is solvable by picking a better location. It's not, because the flaw isn't in your choice. The flaw is in the question you're asking. And I'm about to prove that every publicly known bugout location isn't just compromised, it's a trap. A psychological honeypot that's gonna kill everyone who falls for it, including you, unless you understand what I'm about to show you.
The honeypot. Everyone thinks alike. You found your location by being smart. You researched, you used Google Earth, cross-referenced USGS maps, checked property records, scoured prepper forms for hints. You felt like a detective, like you'd cracked a code nobody else could crack. Here's the problem. Smart people think alike. That's not inspiration, that's cognitive science. When presented with identical information and identical goals, intelligent brains produce identical solutions. You didn't discover that abandoned mineshaft, you computed it. And 10,000 other people ran the same equation. Every person who searched remote defensible locations got the same results. Every person who filtered for water source nearby identified the same candidates. Every person who looked for existing structure to save time found the same buildings. Your research methodology was brilliant, which is exactly why it failed, because brilliance is replicable. That bunker you're planning to drive to, it's not on 3 people's lists, it's on 3,000 people's lists. Some of them are arriving before you, most of them are arriving after you. All of them think they're alone in knowing about it. None of them are. You won't find solitude there. You'll find a refugee camp. Unmanaged, uncoordinated, desperate. No leadership structure, no resource allocation system, just 100 strangers who all thought they were the only ones smart enough to think of this place, all competing for the same creek, the same firewood, the same shelter. Let's talk mathematics. A single person needs 5 pounds of dry wood per day for cooking and minimal warmth. That's 1,825 pounds per year. 100 unprepared arrivals at your location means every dead tree within half a mile is gone in 72 hours. After that, people start cutting green wood, wet wood, wood that produces smoke instead of heat. And smoke is a signal that screams concentrated population here to everyone within 5 miles. Water contamination follows the same brutal math. One person defecates upstream, one person dumps gray water into the source. Giardia spreads at exponential rates in high-density populations with zero sanitation infrastructure. Your pristine creek becomes a disease vector in 48 hours. Waterborne pathogens don't care about your survival plans. Deer have a home range of roughly 1 square mile. A sustainable harvest is maybe 3 deer per square mile per year under managed conditions. But you're not looking at managed conditions. You're looking at panic hunting. 50 people with limited skills all trying to bag the same animals simultaneously. Local game either gets exterminated or migrates within a week. After that, you're looking at protein deficiency, malnutrition, compromised immune systems. This isn't a temporary surge, this is a permanent bubble. And when bubbles burst, people don't just politely starve, they fragment. They form factions, they compete. And you, the person who arrived early, who claimed the best spot, who has the most visible shelter, you're not the leader of this group. You're the first target. So what's the actual solution? Stop looking for special places. Special attracts attention. A bunker is special, a mine shaft is special, a scenic cabin is special. Special means high value means contested, always. The real secure location is forgettable. It's a patch of unremarkable woods that looks identical to 10,000 other patches. Flat, empty, strategically useless land that nobody has a reason to visit. No views, no structures, no appeal. Just coordinates pointing to nothing. That's anonymity, that's security. But here's what nobody tells you about the anonymity strategy. It requires skills you probably don't have. No existing infrastructure means you build everything from scratch. Water procurement from raw sources, shelter construction from available materials, fire without store-bought accelerants. These aren't optional anymore. They're the price of invisibility. And that's where most people fail. They want the security of invisibility, but they need the convenience of existing infrastructure. You can't have both. Choose one, choose wisely, choose fast. Because your Dragon's Horde is already being scouted.
The Dragon's Horde. Why they're coming. You spent years building your fortress. Reinforced walls, solar panels, water filters, a year of food, medical supplies, tools, ammunition. You feel prepared. You feel secure. You feel like you've finally done it right. Congratulations. You're no longer a survivor, you're a loot crate. And in a world without supply chains, what happens to loot crates? They get farmed. This is the tactical flaw that ends more prepared people than any other mistake. You've created a static, high-value, pre-mapped target. You've surrendered your single greatest advantage in any crisis scenario, the ability to move. You can't relocate. You can't adapt. You can't respond to changing threats. You're stuck defending a fixed position with finite resources against unknown numbers of potential challengers with unknown capabilities. From a game theory perspective, you're playing the worst possible strategy. A prepared defender in a fortified position has roughly a 3-to-1 advantage over attackers. Sounds good, until you understand the catch. That calculation assumes symmetric information. Both sides know roughly equal amounts about each other's capabilities. But in your scenario, the information asymmetry runs backwards. They know where you are. They know you have supplies. They can observe your patterns, identify your weak points, time your resource runs. You know nothing about them until they choose to reveal themselves. You're not the hunter. You're the deer with a radio collar. And here's the nightmare scenario nobody talks about. Organized groups don't attack fortresses. That's amateur hour. They siege them. They cut off your water. They contaminate your resupply routes. They create noise at night to induce sleep deprivation. After 72 hours without sleep, your decision-making degrades by 40%. After a week, you're cognitively equivalent to legally drunk, and you're making life or death decisions in that state. Or they just wait. They sit outside your perimeter and exist. The psychological pressure of knowing they're there, watching, evaluating, is a weapon by itself. Siege psychology is brutal. Defenders experience higher rates of paranoia, internal conflict, and decision paralysis than attackers. Why? Because attackers can leave. You can't. You're trapped with your fears and your group's deteriorating dynamics, with no release valve. And here's the part that actually kills you. You've invested everything into this position. Years of preparation, all your resources, your entire psychological security, which means when you start losing it, and you will eventually start losing it, you can't accept it. You double down. You defend an indefensible position because abandoning it means admitting your preparation was based on a flawed premise. Sunk cost fallacy murders more preppers than exposure. So what's the alternative? Stop building one horde. Any system with a single point of failure isn't a system, it's a time bomb. Smart preppers aren't dragons, they're squirrels. 3 to 4 small, buried, non-obvious supply caches distributed across a region. Each cache sustains you for 2 to 3 weeks. Water filtration, calories, basic medical, fire tools, navigation equipment. If one gets compromised, you've lost 25% of your capability. Not everything. You adapt, you relocate, you survive. This is distributed redundancy. Your survival plan must be dynamic, not static. Each cache should be memorable to you, but meaningless to everyone else. Not near distinctive landmarks, not at recognizable terrain features. Think in terms of triangulated magnetic bearings from ephemeral reference points, buried deep enough that metal detectors won't ping. Mark it with recognition methods that only you understand. Critical detail. Each cache must be accessible without tools. If you're fleeing under pressure, you won't have a shovel. You'll have what you're wearing and maybe a pack. Your burial method needs to account for hand excavation, shallow enough to dig by hand, positioned in penetrable soil types, contained in waterproof materials that won't degrade. This is practical fieldcraft, not theory. But distributed assets require something most preppers refuse to acknowledge: physical capability. You need to move between cache locations under your own power, 10, 20, 30 miles between sites, carrying weight, in adverse conditions, on limited calories. If your survival strategy requires motorized transportation, you don't have a survival strategy. You have a fantasy that collapses the moment fuel becomes unavailable. Can you ruck 20 miles today? Not theoretically. Actually, can you do it tomorrow? The day after? Because if the answer is no, your distributed cash system is just another static hoard with extra steps, and you're back to being a loot crate. Most preppers fail here. They've got the gear, they've got the plan, they've got caches buried, but they physically cannot execute their own strategy. So they default to the fortress model, because it doesn't require confronting their limitations. That's not prepping, that's coping. Your hoard isn't going to save you. Your ability to move between resources nobody else knows about will. That's not a place, that's a capability. And capabilities are built through training, not purchasing. But there's a third flaw, one that invalidates 90% of commercial bugout strategies before they even begin.
The seizure trap. It was never yours. You've purchased access to a decommissioned government bunker, or you bought into a survival condo, or you identified an abandoned military installation. Official structures built by governments with taxpayer money to strategic specifications, and you think they forgot about them? Let me introduce you to priority infrastructure seizure. In any large-scale crisis, what's the first move by remaining authorities? FEMA, National Guard, state emergency services. They don't build new facilities, they seize critical, defensible infrastructure. That decommissioned bunker you're driving to, it's not abandoned. It's operationally inactive. The moment crisis reaches threshold levels, it gets reactivated. Locks get changed. Armed personnel get stationed. It becomes their command post. You're not bugging out to your location. You're babysitting it until they need it. This is documented emergency response protocol. FEMA has pre-identified facilities lists. State agencies maintain resource inventories. Military installations, even decommissioned ones, remain on federal property registries. During Katrina, the National Guard seized schools and warehouses. During COVID, governments commandeered hotels and convention centers. The precedent is clear. When authorities need infrastructure, they take it. No negotiation, no compensation, just seizure under emergency powers. Here's the nightmare timeline. You're at home when crisis begins. You start your bug out. Roads are congested. Travel takes triple the planned time. You arrive 48 hours after initial event. There are already vehicles there. Official vehicles, official people, official weapons, official authority. What are you going to do? Contest it? You're one person. They're a coordinated unit with legal backing and force. You can't win. You can't argue. Best case, they turn you away. Worst case, they detain you for interfering with emergency operations. Either way, your secure location is no longer yours. But let's say you arrive first. You secure the facility. You think you won? Now you're squatting on government property during declared emergency. You're occupying a facility on their priority seizure list. They will come for it. And when they do, you're not a survivor who claimed abandoned property. You're an unauthorized occupant impeding emergency response. That's criminal, even in crisis, especially in crisis. Commercial survival condos are the biggest scam in the industry. You paid hundreds of thousands for facility access you'll never get in the scenario it was designed for. The more severe the crisis, the more certain government seizure becomes. You paid premium price for guaranteed unavailability. Even if seizure doesn't happen, you've got another problem. Every other person who bought into that condo is thinking exactly what you're thinking. They're all bugging out to the same place. Facility designed for 100 occupants with staged arrival. What happens when 300 show up in 72 hours? Overcrowding, resource competition, social breakdown. You paid premium to end up in the exact refugee camp we discussed earlier, just with thicker walls. Solution? Stop investing in seizable infrastructure. Your infrastructure must be invisible to authority. It cannot appear on official registries, property lists, or satellite surveys of strategic assets. This is gray man infrastructure. What does invisible infrastructure look like? A disguised wellhead. Not a building, just a concealed groundwater access point that resembles natural drainage. A buried cache with zero surface signature. No mound, no disturbance, no indication of human activity. A hidden antenna system that appears to be natural vegetation. Your communication capability exists without looking like communication infrastructure. The best infrastructure looks like nothing at all. no curb appeal, no strategic value, no reason for attention. This requires complete paradigm shift. You're not building a fortress, you're building a ghost, a survival capability that functions without being noticeable. Concrete example, traditional bug-out location has a well house, visible structure, clear purpose, obviously valuable, seizable. Gray men infrastructure is a hand-dug well with concealed access. You remove covering, access water, replace covering. Looks like undisturbed ground. No structure, no signature, no seizure target. This approach requires knowledge. Hydrology to identify groundwater sources, soil science for effective caching, radio propagation for concealed antenna design. These aren't purchasable, these are developable skills. And that's exactly why most preppers don't use gray man infrastructure. It requires effort, education, getting hands dirty in ways that aren't social media worthy. But here's fundamental truth. The only truly secure infrastructure is infrastructure nobody knows exists. Not authorities, not neighbors, not other preppers, not family. The moment someone else knows about it, it's no longer your infrastructure. It's a shared resource. And shared resources in crisis become contested resources. Always. Your security is inversely proportional to knowledge dispersion. Maximum security equals minimum knowledge sharing. The secure location can't be something you discuss, can't be something you show off, can't be something you've posted about. The secure location community is a contradiction. The moment it's community knowledge, it's compromised. And this reveals the deepest flaw of all.
The real failure? The idea itself. So what have we learned? Your secure location is a sociological magnet, a tactical target, a strategic liability. Every approach to bug-out location planning has fundamental flaws that make it non-viable in the exact scenario it was designed for. The real single point of failure is the concept itself. The belief that security is a place you can go to, that coordinates on a map equals safety, that you can navigate somewhere and suddenly be secure. This is the fundamental fallacy underlying all bug-out planning. Security is not a place, security is a process, a continuous, adaptive behavior. The ability to assess threats, identify resources, and position advantageously in constantly changing environments. It's not something you achieve, it's something you do, every moment, without stopping. The moment you commit to a static position, you stop surviving, you start dying. You've just added time delay to the inevitable. Evolutionary biology proves this. Surviving species aren't the strongest or best armed, they're the most adaptable. The ones that change behavior when conditions change, that relocate when resources deplete, that alter strategies when threats emerge. Adaptability is survival, rigidity is extinction. Your bug-out location represents rigidity, a commitment to fixed strategy in fluid environment, the belief that you can predict conditions accurately enough to pre-position for success. But you can't. Nobody can. The premise assumes you know what crisis is coming, when, how long it lasts, and what resources matter. You don't know any of those things. They're unknowable variables. What happens when crisis differs from your plan? When it lasts longer than supplies? When threats are different than anticipated? When resources are unavailable? Your fixed location becomes a trap. You've committed based on assumptions, and when assumptions prove wrong, you can't pivot. You're locked in. You're dead. This is why nomadic societies historically out-survive settled societies during collapse. Romans fell, Huns survived. Chinese dynasties collapsed, Mongols persisted. Settled civilizations crumbled, pastoral nomads continued. Why? Nomads don't have secure locations. They have secure capabilities. The capability to move, to relocate resources, to avoid threats by not being where threats are. Stop thinking about where you're going, start thinking about what you're capable of doing. Stop planning bug-out locations. Start developing bug-out capabilities. Navigation without technology, water procurement from any environment, shelter creation from available materials, wild food identification and processing, long-distance movement with minimal resources. These capabilities are location independent. They work everywhere, always. This mental shift separates survivors from case studies. Survivors don't have plans, they have skills. They don't have destinations, they have options.
They don't have secure locations, they have ability to create security wherever they are. That's not a place, that's a person. That's you. Or what you need to become. Most people can't make this shift. They can't accept years of location planning were based on flawed premises. They can't abandon psychological comfort of having a place to go. They can't face that real security requires capabilities they don't possess and will take years to develop. So they keep refining location choices, keep upgrading fortifications, keep stockpiling, keep doing the same thing expecting different results. That's not prepping, that's coping. Psychological defense against terrifying reality that security isn't purchasable or plannable. It's something you become, and becoming it requires confronting limitations, developing uncomfortable skills, accepting there are no shortcuts. You can't buy survival, you can't plan for it, you can't arrive at it. You can only become it. One skill at a time, one training session at a time, one failed fire-making attempt at a time, one 20-mile ruck at a time. That's how you build real security, not by identifying locations, by building persons. And once you've built that person, once you've developed those capabilities, you'll realize something profound. You don't need a bug-out location anymore because you've become the bug-out location. You carry security with you, in your head, in your skills, in your adaptability. You're not going to safety, you are safety. Wherever you are, you create conditions for survival. That's the real secure location. Not coordinates, not structures, not bunkers or cabins. It's you, the version capable of thriving in chaos, the version that procures what's needed from the environment, the version that doesn't stay anywhere long enough to need defending, the version that's invisible, mobile, adaptable, relentlessly competent. Stop looking for X on maps. Become the ghost. Be the squirrel, not the dragon. Be the nomad, not the settler. Be the adaptive organism that survives while empires fall. That is the secure location, the only secure location that exists.
What this actually costs, your publicly known location costs you resources. Instead of weeks of supplies, you have hours before depletion. Instead of solitude, competition. Your dragon's hoard costs you mobility. You traded options for commitment. Created single point of failure requiring redundancy. Your official infrastructure costs you autonomy. You built survival around assets you can't control or defend from seizure. And the concept itself costs you the most valuable thing, time. Time spent researching locations could have developed skills. Time fortifying positions could have built endurance. Time accumulating supplies could have taught resource procurement. Time is the only truly limited resource. You've been spending it on strategies that don't work. You can't get it back. You can't reverse years of flawed planning. You can either recognize the flaw now and correct course, or double down. Tell yourself your location is different, that you solved the problems. Maybe you have. Maybe you're the 1 in 10,000 who figured out viable static location strategy, but probably not. The intelligence making you think you've solved it is the same intelligence making 9,999 others think they've solved it. They're all converging on same solutions. That's statistics. That's human cognitive behavior. That's the honeypot functioning as predicted. Stop planning. Start training. Stop accumulating, start learning. Stop looking for coordinates, start developing capabilities. Stop finding right places, start becoming the right person. That's not a bug-out location, that's survival transformation. The only thing keeping you alive when locations fail, plans collapse, and public secrets become mass graves. The choice is yours. Every day spent planning to go somewhere is a day not preparing to go anywhere. And anywhere is exactly where you need survival capability. Not eventually, now, today, every day, without stopping, without needing a map with an X. Become the ghost, be unfindable, be anywhere and nowhere. Be the person who doesn't appear on lists because you're not part of predictable patterns. That's the only secure location that exists, the only one you'll ever need. Now get to work.